Hello everybody, it's Ryan back here with another dish. We're going to be making spaghetti and meatballs with Italian sausage, baby bellas reduced in red wine, and with caramelized onions. I'm going to give you all the ingredients here in just a second. So I'm just going to jump in and show you everything. For the meatballs, we're going to be doing a pound of ground pork and a pound of ground chuck, and there's going to be 2 eggs for the meatballs, and let's see, we're going to be using some chopped up breadcrumbs from the baguette. Also, we're going to use the remaining for some garlic bread, and we're going to use some milk that's going to be for soaking the breadcrumbs and just makes the meatballs just more moist. We're going to use a little red wine in the meatballs, a couple other spices and some flavors. So we're using baby bellas. We're going to use a couple pints. We're gonna saute them and reduce them with some red wine and garlic, and that's going to be added to the sauce. So let's see what else. We're going to have Italian. This is a mild Italian sausage. You can use the spicy if you'd like. We're just using the mild, and 2 onions that I'll be caramelizing. Which adds an excellent flavor to this dish. It really takes the sauce to another level if you're caramelizing your own onions and adding it to it. We're gonna use some fresh basil and a couple boxes of fettuccine. So this is gonna be a dish for 10, 12 people. You know, it's when I make this, I usually make a huge batch of it. So we can have lots of leftovers and just share with our friends. You can also just make additional plates just to wrap up and freeze and put in the freezer. That way you can just, you know, for the next month, just take them out of the freezer just a plate at a time, and, you know, just have them thaw out overnight and then just pop them in the microwave, you know, just for just a quick dish here or there, you know, throughout the month. So I do that all the time. We'll start with a good amount here. And we're just gonna, once you get a nice little sizzle on the onions when you first put them in there, and toss them around with the butter, then we're gonna put it on low, and it's just gonna be like low and slow on these onions. Main ingredient for caramelized onions is patience. So I'm gonna turn those down already to the lowest setting. So we're gonna let these go. This is gonna take, if you really want to caramelize them nice, it should take at least like 10-15 minutes, you know, to really cook them down, let the sugars release. I'm gonna add a little granulated sugar maybe in about 10 minutes, just kind of like help them along, help those sugars and help everything just caramelize nicely. So we'll start right there and check back in about 10 minutes. Okay, so we're there. This is what we're looking for. It's reduced very nicely. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. You want to season everything as we go. Each component that we make on this dish, we want to season it. I already added a little bit of black pepper to it. So look how beautiful that color is. Just a dark brown, beautiful caramelization on there. And let's see here. So I already put the sauces in there. I used 2 jars. And in the pot, so we're gonna get ready to start simmering that. We can add these onions. Sorry about that. There's a garbage truck going by out there, so I'll get the rest of those in there in a second. So first part done. Get the rest of that in there. All right, so we'll get on to the next step. And we're just gonna saute these, reduce these down. I wash these really well, but also along with washing them, you really want to dry them well. I put them in a colander, let them drain, and then I also patted them dry with a paper towel, because it's very important. Because you're not going to get the texture that you want. You want to keep this texture when it's reducing, and you don't want them to get too soft. So you want to definitely take out any water that you rinse them when you're rinsing them off. So that's a very important step. So we're going to let these go for about about 5-6 minutes and let them reduce down. Then we're gonna add a little bit of red wine and garlic, season them up, some salt and pepper, and then we're gonna throw them in the pot and simmer away with the caramelized onions and the sauce, and then we're gonna get ready to do the sausage and the meatballs. We're gonna add this to our pot with the caramelized onions. So, piece of cake so far, right? Wow, it smells amazing. All right, so we're good there. Got our heat. Right in the pool with everything else. Now we've got the fun part, so we're gonna do the Italian sausage and the meatballs. Okay, so we're gonna come in with the sausage. We're using that same pan again that we did the onions and the mushrooms in. Why not? I just fished out. I just want to make sure that there's no garlic in there from when you did the mushrooms, because you don't want it to get bitter and burn and, you know, ruin your sausage. So I fished them out of there with a little bit of, with a paper towel. So I'm just using just a tiny little bit of olive oil just to kind of like get it started. I'm gonna use this whole pack. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cook them whole, and then you can kind of do whatever you want to do. If you want to like cut them up into thirds so they have big sections in there. I like to cut them into medallions. So I don't want to work when I'm eating, and I don't want my guests to have to work when they're eating. So I'm going to cook these all the way, and then add a little bit of brown sugar just to kind of help them caramelize. The sweetness kind of like helps them, the sugar kind of like helps get them nice and like a nice texture, nice and caramelized on the outside, and then let them kind of rest for a few minutes, and then cut them into medallions. I'm going to put them in the sauce. So we're going to let that go. Olive oil on these puppies. So we're going to let these go until they cook. And our sauce is already starting to simmer a little bit. It smells excellent in here. So another thing about this sauce too, I know we're using the jar sauce. I've done it with the jars before. Not everybody has the time to be making spaghetti sauce from scratch each time. So I will do some recipes on how to do like some San Marzano tomatoes and make some recipes from some spaghetti sauce from scratch. We can do that another time. But let me tell you, this sauce with the cans, the jars of sauce, use whatever is your favorite. You know, I use like about 2.5 to 3 since I'm making such a big batch. This is still excellent if you do it this way. So don't be afraid of making all these nice ingredients and then putting them in a sauce that's jar sauce. So it's still going to be excellent. So we're going to check back when these are done, and we'll be right back. Okay, so the sausage is finished. I'm going to just cut in a little bit just to see, make sure they're done. Look perfect. Sample for the chef. Excellent. We're going to cut these up in medallions and put them in the pot. Okay, so meatballs time. So the first thing you want to do is, this is about a cup of the baguette that I actually had just cut up, and I left it pretty big, so you can put it in the food processor if you'd like. Make it fine, do whatever you want. I like the fresh baguette. You can use leftover bread if you want. You can use like the store-bought Italian breadcrumbs, but I wouldn't do that unless you have no other choice. Actually, panko goes really good too. So if you don't have baguette, if you got panko laying around, you could use that. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to just add some milk. I'm just using whole milk, and about a cup or so, and swirl it around just until, yeah, just enough to cover it so that it's gonna absorb. And then we're gonna let this soak for about 4 or 5 minutes. And we're going to, right when we're getting ready to assemble the meatballs, we're gonna just squeeze out all the excess milk. And what you're gonna do, what you're doing with that is the milk in the breadcrumbs is just gonna make the meatballs super moist, super tender when you go to cook them. And once you finish them in the sauce, they'll break apart just soft and gooey and just tender on the inside. And they're perfect that way. So we're gonna let this soak, be back in 1 minute. Okay, so we're gonna start assembling the meatballs. So we're gonna put in our pack ground pork, ground chuck, Okay, we're going to squeeze out our breadcrumbs. Get as much milk out of them as you can. First a little bit. That's about good. All right, put that there. It's out of the way. We're gonna do 1 clove fresh garlic. I'm also gonna put a little garlic powder in there. I like a little of each. Let's get our egg in there. All right. Let's see, Parmesan. I'm gonna do, it's about a 1/4 cup, I guess, right there. Cracked black pepper, a couple pinches. Some kosher salt. Italian seasoning. About a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more. There we go. I'm gonna do some dried basil. Like, yes, there is basil in the Italian seasoning, but we're gonna add a little bit more. Some garlic powder. It's about good there. What are we missing? A little bit of red wine. Okay. I washed my hands real good, so we're just gonna jump in there. Get everything nice and mixed up. I just want to make sure it's blended well. I don't want to over mix it. You don't have to just sit there and keep mixing it. Just enough so everything's incorporated. Okay, so we're gonna be frying meatballs now. So I just put a little bit of olive oil in there. You don't gotta go crazy. It was like not even a 1/2 tablespoon, and I just kind of swirled it around just to coat the bottom of the pan. Okay, and we can do this in a couple batches. We don't need to fit them all in here now. You don't want to crowd them because you don't want them to steam. So we're just gonna do. Go like that. There we go. So we're gonna just start there, and we want to just kind of like quick, like shallow fry, quick sear and crust the sides. You can do 2 or 3 sides, just for a minute or so on each side. We're not looking to cook them all the way through. We just want to get a nice texture on the outside of them, and that's it. When we remove them and we put them in the sauce, they'll simmer in the sauce, and then the idea is so the juices kind of release from the meatball. They finish cooking all the way through in the sauce, and it releases the juices, just adding to that, the meat sauce, just adding to all of the flavors that we've already built. So we're just getting a texture on the outside, and we'll finish cooking them in the sauce on a low simmer, and that's about it. I'm going to show you what they look like right before we put them in the sauce, and be right back. Okay, so we flipped them. They all got about, I put them on about 3 sides, so got a nice little texture. They're still soft, and they still got a little bit of pink and stuff on them, which is fine. So we're going to put them right in the sauce. Okay, so, oh my God, it smells heavenly in here. All right, see how there's still a little bit of pink, a little bit of some juices still running there, so we just got a nice crust on the outside. Alright, and we'll do the rest of the batch. Alright guys, so this is the last batch cooking now. It's just getting browned up real nice. This is the ones that we've already cooked. Look how pretty they are. So we're bringing this up to a simmer again. This is when you want to add in your fresh basil and your fresh tomatoes. So the fresh tomatoes is really important, especially when you're using the jar sauce, because it's just gonna add more freshness to it. You know, just make it that much more fresh, and the fresh basil as well. So we're gonna put the rest of those meatballs in there. When they're finished cooking, we're gonna put them in there. We're gonna simmer this for about 15 to 20 minutes on low, just a very slow simmer. So the insides of the meatballs, the juices just get released into the sauce and just make this sauce just, you know, the most delicious, flavorful spaghetti sauce that it could be. And that's it. So thanks guys for hanging out with me in the kitchen, and you saw how easy that was. So we're gonna just finish this up, and I'll plate it, and the final results are on the way, and you'll just see what it looks like. So we'll be right back. All right guys, we're back. So, moment of truth. So we're gonna put everything together. So I made a plate just for me and Kathy for right now, but we got, trust me, we got a ton. You saw how much we made. So some garlic bread. Actually, I will put this right here. I'll show you the recipe for this another time.
My favorite.
Hold on, I'll give you a taste tester. You want a big piece? This one's for you, honey. Hold, can you keep that steady? I'll give you a sample in a second. Jeez. Okay, yeah, we're both starving, so. All right, so there we go. This is the spaghetti with meatballs, Italian sausage, and baby bellas, and caramelized onions. So a little snowstorm of Parmesan, a little Parmigiano Formaggio, and we're gonna dive in. So look how beautiful that looks.
Beautiful.
I'm starving. All right, so we're gonna start with the meatball here. Cooked all the way through. Nice and delicate in the middle. Looks beautiful. Don't really need the pasta, do we?
How is
Sauce
it?
is sweet. Hold on, honey. Sauce is nice and sweet. Mmm. Bursting with flavor. Meatballs are extremely tender. Got a nice little crust on the outside. Let's see if I can dig up some sausage here. Some Italian sausage. Mmm. Phenomenal. So excellent. It's worth all the TLC and, you know, the 4 or 5 steps that it takes to make this. I mean, it's not really that involved. It's just, you know, steps. If you just follow those steps, nothing's too crazy. It's something that you make on like a Sunday or a Saturday. It's not necessarily like a weeknight meal. So here, honey, this one's for you.
Delicioso.
Excellent. Okay, guys, so thank you for joining us. And we hope that you try this. If you do, let us know how it turns out. And come here, King. And
Our son needs to try.
yeah, King needs to try. And then also, don't forget to leave a sub and hit that bell so you can hear when we post more videos. So, and thanks again for being with us today, and we'll see you on the next video.